Level-Headed is the brainchild of former professional athlete, entrepreneur, and philanthropist Ambassador Jack Brewer, with a mission to deliver a balanced, positive, untraditional news perspective that seeks to eliminate divisiveness, focusing on how news issues in politics, sports, entertainment, health, wellness, and business affect everyday people, as well as stories highlighting social good. Welcome to Level-Headed with Jack Brewer.
Welcome to Level-Headed with Jack Brewer, here with my brother, Mr. Lawrence B. Jones. Lawrence, welcome, man.
Thanks, man, for having me. I get to sit in the chair next to you. That's what I'm talking about.
Man, come on, man, come on. So, guys, Lawrence is a well-known advocate. He's a contributor for Fox News, all the platforms. Big into criminal justice reform. I'll let him tell you a little bit about himself. But for me, this is special, man. I actually saw you first on TV and just wanted to really get to know you, man. And since then, we've become pretty close. So
oh, yeah.
It's important. Won't you tell everybody, man, a little bit about yourself, brother?
Yeah, I'm from Dallas, Texas, and we later figured that out. Mom had me at 16. My dad married her. Started off playing basketball. Quit my senior year of high school because I wanted to get involved in the political process. Used to work on the Obama campaign, and then I switched over to the right. And now I'm more some call conservatarian, libertarian. Essentially, I believe government has a place, and I intend on putting government in its place every time it gets out of its place. And I'm from my community. Any policy that's gonna better my community, that's what I'm for, as long as it knows its place.
Yeah. So tell me more about that, man, because I grew up in Texas too. Both of us are from the Dallas area, and it's a conservative mind in Texas, right? But yet, for a lot of the minority population, usually you have more of a liberal leaning perspective, man. And so for you, you started in the political process a lot younger than myself.
Yeah.
But how was that transition, and did you get any heat for it? Like, you go from being a big supporter of Obama.
Yeah.
Like, what was the catalyst? What made you change?
So I would say this: Black people in general are conservative in the way we think, the way that we act, but the way we vote is much different. And so there is first of all, there is a spiritual aspect of our culture that we believe in God. And so because of our religious foundation, we typically are conservative. We just don't vote that way because you got the Democratic Party that, quite frankly, is in the community, even though they don't deliver. And then you got the Republican Party that sucks at messaging when it comes to the community, and they don't show up in the community. And so for me, I got pushed back at first when I first started because, quite frankly, I didn't know who I was. I knew what I wanted to do, but I feel like that I haven't been really comfortable in who I am as LBJ until this year. And I don't care if I piss off the right. I don't care if I piss off the left. I talk about whatever issue I want to talk about. And so it has been a learning experience, and it's also been a humbling experience as well because, at first I had abandoned my community without even knowing I had abandoned them. I was fighting for them, but they didn't know I was fighting for them. And so that wasn't their fault. It was my fault that my community didn't know that. That because, that part of the reason is that when you get on a national platform and you're on TV every day, you start speaking the language for the general consumer that's on a big network. And somehow, you feel like, hey, if I can just hit one or two people in the process, then that's okay.
Yeah.
Well, that was wrong because during that process, that 1 and 2 wasn't being hit.
Got it.
And so now I've gotten to a place where I'm speaking directly to my community at all times. And so whoever else gets, touched about it in the process, I'm happy about too.
How do you deal with, for me, when I go home, right? In my house, I was born and raised that, if you were a Republican,
Yeah.
you were for rich white people.
Yeah.
Period. Right? And the issues that affect us in a lot of black homes, I know for me personally, and I'll get into my story with you a little bit later, but it's the natural divide.
Mm-hmm.
How do you deal with that when you get posed with that question? You know, I'm on Fox Business too, so I got to deal with that too. So I'm only asking you because it sounds like you have a really good perspective on that.
Well, I have learned to take the message that the community taught me back to them. For example, the aspiration at the time when I was there struggling with you is that we all wanted to be millionaires. We all wanted to make it out. And so by definition, my politics is going to change as I go to that entrepreneur standpoint. And so what I always challenge people is that you were rapping about Trump in your lyrics. And so what changed? Is it because now he's on, a public platform on the right? Because we all expired. That's why I try not to, although I talk about all politics, I start with capitalism. Yeah. Because the majority of the issues that we face, not only as a community, but as a country, revolves around money. Yeah. And if we can change the mindset to the green, politics start to change. Like, for example, people argue about being pro-life, pro-choice. Although I'm pro-life, the first conversation is, how do I get my community to a place where they are financially in a position where they don't even think about abortions? Yeah. And so from food stamps to social issues, it all starts with money. And so I call my testing group, my focus group is my barbershop. I've been at the same barbershop ever since I was in the second grade. They've seen me be on the left, they've seen me on the right, they've seen me struggling to get on a local television station to being on national TV. And I test my messages with them because I know they're authentic. I know they're open-minded, and I know they're always going to tell me the truth. Yeah. And so because of their feedback, I've been able to tailor my message in a way where, although some people will say, oh, you have sold out, you all that. No, let me see what my community said, because they know me. Yeah. And so the moment they say, hey, man, you missed the mark on, then I know, okay, I need to reevaluate some things. Yeah.
So you talk about Trump.
Yeah.
And, you and I agree on a lot of things. Mm-hmm. And so, you talk about the rappers rapping about Trump. I've said the same thing.
I've lost the amount of lyrics that's been in there.
I mean, he to be trumped is something that we all say, But now I think the divide is coming. A lot of ways we're being used, in my opinion, as pawn. Yeah. Because now when you talk about Trump, all of a sudden now Trump is associated with racism and sexism and every other ism that you can come up with. And so in our community, and you mentioned barbershop, I was at the barbershop yesterday. And I think 105.1 was on the airwaves in the barbershop. And literally in a matter of 20 minutes, I heard 4 Democratic ads for Democratic leaders, all that happen to be African American.
Did you hear anything from the right on there?
No.
Oh, okay.
You already know the answer to that. So each message was basically, let's protect our community and our neighborhoods from Donald Trump. That's what they were saying. Basically saying he was a racist and let's protect it. Now, you take a couple steps back. Myself, I love policy. Right. And I make my comments based upon policy. Right. Sometimes, like yourself, I have to explain those policies to my community because a lot of times people don't pay attention and they don't spend time to actually see the policy. But, I think it was yesterday it came out, the poverty rate for African Americans, for Latinos is at the lowest since the early 70s. Yeah. And so when you see those type of things, but at the same time people are using racial divide to push the narrative on the president, how do you respond to that?
So there's 2 prongs to this. I'm a policy person too. I like the facts of the matter is that this president has been great for the country as a whole. Been great for the black community because of the policies in general has been able to lift us up the deregulation, all that good stuff.
But how do you? But when someone says, right, Donald Trump is a racist because in the 80s, right, he kicked out a black person out of one of his 400 apartment buildings. Or Donald Trump is a racist because he went to Charlottesville and stood up for Nazis. Or Donald Trump is a racist because he pointed to a black guy at his rally and said, "Hey, my African American." Now, you and I know the backdrop behind most of those stories and the reason why they may not actually be portrayed in the media accurately, but a lot of black folks don't.
And you know what? That's the president's fault. You know, and I told the White House this months ago. Look, I was very ticked off in the president's response to Charlottesville because I thought it was ignorant. He knows better. He should have did better. And what I tell people, like CNN, Van Jones invited me on to have a conversation with Black Lives Matter, and I made it very clear. I'm not defending no grown man. I'm here to defend the policies that benefit me and my community. The president as a person, I believe where he has went wrong is that if there's ever been a politician that knows black people, is Donald Trump, because he's been around them for a long time. Why he hasn't depended on the strategy that he's always known, I don't know. Why he bringing the black preachers instead of all the hip hop artists and the celebrities that he once hung around with, I don't know. Maybe it's because it's the consulting class that Republicans have depended on their diversity strategy for a long time that hasn't worked. But he knows better. He knows better because you can go back and see all the pictures of him with the Sharptons of the world. I don't think these pastors have the influence that the people in the secular world do.
Will they go though? Because I asked you this question because I played in the NFL.
It takes humility.
Yes, but will the black leaders, will Jay-Z, will LeBron James, name on and on. Listen,
they should.
The unfortunate truth is the leaders in Black America are entertainers and athletes, and they have the biggest influence on our community, right? And I've said this time and time again on air, right? I was a captain on 3 football teams in the National Football League, right? And there is no way that with all this division, that I wouldn't be trying to get a group of black players, not white players, not other races of players, black players in that White House to sit down and have a real hard conversation with the president. I don't think he'd be against that, but I don't think they will go.
So here's the problem with that. You're right. It takes humility on both sides. It takes forgiveness on both sides. But my side of the political persuasion got to stop looking at these people as if they need them. These are all self-made millionaires. Right. And so this thing of that they should be so honored to visit the White House, I think is the wrong approach. I think they need to let me give you an example of criminal justice. It was an opportunity for both sides to come together. The president has been lecturing all of us about the deep state and the FBI. The FBI is after him. I don't understand why the leaders in our community have been saying the same thing. Didn't say, you know what, Mr. President, I'm right there with you on it. Instead, we got petty people being leaders. And it shouldn't be about the man, it should be about what benefits you. Do you think I agree everything that Donald Trump said? No, I see an opportunity. And the reason why I'm banging the issue of criminal justice harder than I ever been is because it's the right time. It's been primed. We got the President of the United States on our side. The President said they're coming after him. So if they'll go after the President of the United States, what are you going to think they're going to do to Junebug out there in Dallas? Right. And so instead of taking that pettiness aside, I think our leaders, the people that we pay so much money for to see their concerts, I love Beyonce and Jay-Z to death, but they should be leading on this issue. And I think the president should have a little bit of humility and say, you know what, y'all, forgive me. I'm sorry about this. Let's get to work. Let's get back to old times. And another thing, like I said, his consultant needs to start saying, let's bring these pastors in the White House for a photo op. What they gonna do? First of all, the black community is very in a state of depression when it comes to church. Right. They've been lied to by these preachers. They realize that, you see how fast Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton switched up? They've been friends with Trump for years. Giving him awards for years, and all of a sudden he's the enemy. Yeah. So there's no consistency with Jared. I think humility on both sides is the way.
I agree. And when you look at the situation right now, right? Yeah. Not just the divide coming on behalf of the athletes and entertainers and all of that. Now actually the Democratic leaders have taken on this same rhetoric, this same approach. So from a leadership perspective, how important and how do we get to the point where our black leaders that have influence, I mean, don't forget, we got young black billionaires now in America. Yeah. I mean, think about it. I told someone the other day.
Which is why I'm not boycotting Nike.
Yeah,
I refuse.
Exactly.
I refuse.
So, and we'll hit on that in a little bit too. So when you look, we have really one major engine to create young black millionaires in America, and that's the National Football League. Yeah. The National Football League creates more young black millionaires than any other business in America. Yeah. And so for me, I'm like you, Lawrence. I look at it from a business perspective. Always. When President Trump called black players, he didn't call all black players. Let me be straight up. He called those that kneel son of a bitches. Yeah. I felt like he called me a son of a bitch. Right. And I probably,
there's a lot of people that share that belief too. Yes.
And so that is probably the lowest moment I ever had for a president. And the only reason, to your point earlier, that I didn't just instantly say I want nothing to do with this man, right. is because I know that his policies are good for us. Right. And I also know that I didn't vote for Donald J. Trump to be my spiritual leader, my preacher, someone who gets and taps into my emotions. Yeah. I voted for him so that he could pass good policy for my people, particularly poor people, poor black people. That's right. And so that is, I think, the message that is being lost. And to get back to our Democratic leaders, I think they are really capitalizing right now on this political divide. I watched LeBron James do an interview, and it hurt me to hear him compare times in America right now to Jim Crow and slavery. Yeah. And I'm sorry, but LeBron James is living his slave ancestors' dreams right now. Yeah. Like, I'm living mine and you're living yours. Yeah. And so what can we do to get these Democratic leaders to get off this? Because I believe they're tearing our communities up.
Well, we ain't going to get the Democratic leaders out of this because it's a financial incentive right now. So they're not going anywhere.
Preach.
I think the conversation about getting them out, that ain't happening. The question is, how do we get the people that we share an economic ideology with, how do we get them there? And that's where it starts. So many people have gotten the term that Ben Shapiro says, facts don't care about your feelings, or feelings don't care about your facts either. And if we can't learn to speak to people, you think people voted for Donald Trump in middle America because he had all the policy choices? No. Those are the same voters that voted for a hope and change messages in Barack Obama. You got to speak to people's heart. And quite frankly, Donald Trump is not the most articulate person. But what he does understand is marketing. And he also understands people. Yeah. And until we start speaking to people, speaking to them, instead of speaking at them, we ain't going to get nothing solved.
No, very good point. Well, we're going to go to a quick break here, hear from our sponsors. When we get back, man, we had a tragedy happen in our backyard in Dallas, man, police shooting. And, we'll touch on that. We'll be right back.
Gensco is a purveyor of luxury baseball caps, snapback, strapback, and flat brims for men and women. We offer innovative designs made with the highest quality fabrics on the planet. Gensco believes in giving back. A portion of every hat sold helps bring resources to underserved women and children globally. Get your luxury caps at Saks Fifth Avenue, Bloomingdale's, Nordstrom's, or Gensco.com.
Our food brands are UNI, QUE, unique specialty foods for the entire family. Popsy Cakes are the world's first gourmet cupcake on a pretzel, which can be customized for any occasion. Our Jose Madrid's flavored salsa is made with only the finest natural ingredients.
Christopher Street offers a unique line of wines, jellies, sauces, and more. And we can't forget our specialty unique pizzas. Bring our unique foods to your kitchen today. Purchase direct at uniquefoods.co.
Welcome back to Level Headed.
Actually, hold on. You guys are banging your hands a little bit on the table. I know you're passionate. But just try and.
Got you.
Yeah. All good. Go ahead.
Welcome back to Level Headed with my brother Lawrence B. Jones the third. Lawrence, let's talk about Dallas, man. We just had
Our home.
Love you, Texas. We just had a really bad tragedy, man. Young Haitian American brother, man, black man in his own home. Police officer, female police officer, walks in and shoots him, man. I know you've been on top of this case and keeping up with everything. Just give me your perspective and keeping in mind that obviously we're going through so much between criminal justice, between police brutality, and there's always such a divide in our country. You know, this is one that really sent shockwaves to a lot of people, man. What are your thoughts?
Well, I always tell people this because on the right there is this saying, back the blue, as in back law enforcement. But before you back the enforcement, you got to back the law. And the law comes first. They are enforcers of the law, and they're also employees of the state. And as someone that is a free market type of person that is also a limited government person, I'm always suspicious of the state, no matter who they may be. And this is a tragedy, but I'm concerned about the investigation. First of all, anytime the state enters someone's home without a legal document, I'm concerned. Accident or not. And I don't want to add to the animosity that's already out there, but as someone that is a law-abiding citizen that believes heavily in the Second Amendment, I'm nervous because I could have been in that position.
I would have probably had my gun cocked.
That's okay, you already follow me. And what would have been the response to that? An officer being shot by someone in their own home. Because there would be a legal right to do that. Just because you have a badge on doesn't get, like I saw this report yesterday and it said that she gave him an order. It wasn't a lawful order. You had no business in this place. And so
wasn't it dark?
It was dark. It was dark, but it wasn't her place. She went in the place, accident or not. You didn't have a legal right to be there. And then the investigation. I applaud the new Dallas police chief for bringing outside investigators in the Texas Rangers. But then I'm very suspicious of the Texas Rangers. And by the way, I think I should know to the audience that I always wanted to be a Texas Ranger when I was a little boy. Because who didn't watch Walker, Texas Ranger? But the fact that the Texas Rangers made this a manslaughter charge and also decided to book her in a Kaufman County jail instead of where the crime was committed, which is in Dallas. Kaufman County is not in Dallas County.
No, it's not.
And so
the demographics in Kaufman County, just so everyone understands,
much different.
The people look much different.
Exactly. And so that seems to me to be optics wise that they're putting some favor on them, and which is why there's a little bit of beef going on between the Texas Rangers and the Dallas DA Faith Johnson, the first black Republican, as well as District Attorney Faith Johnson, who's the new DA running for re-election right now. And there has been spirited debates going back and forth on the charges. And now she has said, I'm conducting my own investigation and I'm going to submit it to the grand jury. And we're going to prosecute this to the full extent of the law. I'm very concerned in the way that people are handling this because people feel like there should be some preference given to her because she's a cop. And that's wrong. And I support Men in Blue. And I believe that they have a right to go home to their families as well. And you know what? We have a right to sleep in peace.
Right.
To be in a house. And there's been a little bit of pushback about him not having his door locked.
Wasn't it open?
Yeah, it was open. But it's his house. Back in the old days, people didn't lock their door. I know it's a different time, but you have the right to not lock your door.
You can leave it wide open if you want.
Exactly.
So I'm with you. As you know, man, I'm a national spokesman for the Police Athletic League. So I am a big supporter of law enforcement officers. But I'm a supporter of law-abiding law enforcement officers. I think, you know, and we can get onto this because I want to touch on Colin Kaepernick and Nike and some of those things, and this could kind of lead into that. But what message does this send out to those that say, you know what, cops are pigs, right? Cops are bad. We got an issue with bad cops in America. Because what I see, right, I think this is really gonna light a flame, and I'm so proud and happy to see that we have an African American district attorney in Dallas that's really pushing this. But at the same time, the reality still remains for me is that we gotta hold bad cops or cops that break the law accountable. And I don't even know, even from this instance, I don't know if that's happening yet. We seem to, when we talk about police officers, it's always a blanket, right? It's like we talk about this group of people, and there's over 1 million. I think there's 1.2 or 1.3 million police officers in America. You're talking about over 1 million people, right? And we pick 3 or 4 or 5 cases and we blanket the entire industry, and I think that that's wrong. But you know,
on so many levels.
Now Nike, Colin Kaepernick, he's probably been the most, definitely the most focused, the biggest focus of any athlete or anyone else in this whole debate, just because he chose to kneel. Nike took a chance, right? I think it was a good business decision personally, because I think the sales are going to know they're going to go up, which you'll probably end up seeing. But you know, I don't necessarily agree with everything Colin Kaepernick does, but I understand.
Well, I think, just to touch on your point about generalization, I don't want police to generalize all black men, and so I'm not going to generalize all cops as being pigs, because I believe the majority of them overwhelmingly go out there and honorably do their jobs. The few bad apples is what I'm against in any government agency, not just cops, whether it's the IRS, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now, let's be clear on the Nike decision. Nike don't care about justice, they care about coins. As I said, I started this podcast off by saying it all goes back to the green. They're not concerned about, you know, the wars, they're concerned about the audience of the people that buy the sneakers. And what they see is that those young people, just like, and I would ask people to look at, I've been seeing a lot of videos, people burning Nike gear. And it only reinforces my opinion, because I see the gear, and this is no disrespect to you guys. I see that you guys aren't the target, because they're targeting the people that spend $200 plus on sneakers, and you guys aren't. It's not the latest shoes that I'm seeing being burnt. It's not LeBron's. It's not Jordan's. It's none of that. And so they're targeting the people that are audience of these players, and that means your children too.
That's right.
And if you don't believe me, look who's holding down the fort for hip hop. You think it's dominated by just black males purchasing that? No, it's the little white kids that are purchasing it, and it's the same thing for Nike. Nike is making a business decision. They really don't care about this debate. They really don't. Just like most businesses don't. They care about making coins, and I guarantee you, they're gonna make a lot of coins on this business decision, whether you agree with it or not. Totally, you're right. I tell people, I'm a sneakerhead. I love sneakers. I love Jordans. I love collecting them because, you know, there was one point in time where I couldn't have it. And I like it. I'm not burning it up. First of all, I tell my conservative friends like this, y'all are very, very boring. And so if I were to burn up tickets to movies, clothes that are like designers that are like all the time, I would have no fun on that. I would have no fun. And I would be wearing stuff that, quite frankly, I wouldn't want to wear. And so they have a right to exercise whatever political agenda they want. I don't come to them for political commentary. I come to them to buy products.
Right. So, did Nike disrespect the military in any way? Because you hear that. Did Nike draw a line in the sand and say, if you are a flag supporting, true conservative, we don't care about your money. Is that the message?
Well, I'll tell you this. The flag stands for freedom. The flag stands for the Constitution. And although I disagree with the way that they are handling this, as far as kneeling, I wouldn't kneel because I wasn't raised that way. But one thing I do know is that the Supreme Court has ruled that even if you burn the American flag, that is freedom of speech. And it is the freedom that those servicemen and women fight for. My dad was in the military, both my grandfathers are, my grandmother was, my uncles were in the military, although many of them, it was briefly. They all support Colin Kaepernick as well, his right to do that, even if you may disagree with it.
I totally agree. My perspective on Colin Kaepernick, and I've said it time and time again, if you're at work and there's no rules against it, go for it. The second that they pass rules against it, everyone should follow the rules.
Exactly.
And so he has the right to do it.
As long as the rules.
As long as the rules don't prohibit him from doing it. Like yourself, I probably wouldn't kneel.
Nope.
Right? I may have thought about kneeling after he called us son of bitches.
Yeah.
But
every team did.
Yeah, every team did. I would have thought about it, but it wouldn't have anything to do with the flag.
Yeah.
It would have been, I would have been kneeling because I would have been pissed off. But I think the problem with the whole Colin Kaepernick situation, and I've said this before, if that was OBJ, Odell Beckham, I don't think we doing this. Why? Because I think Colin Kaepernick started this conversation with hate. By wearing those socks, depicting cops as pigs. I think that's what really gave the other side, right? That's what put the fluid on fire.
And this is where I start to disagree with my community about, and we've had these and I'll share this with you. This is what I don't get about Colin Kaepernick. If this was always your position, if you've evolved on this or whatever you want to do, when you were on the cover of magazines, when you were going to the Super Bowl, why didn't you do it then?
Because
I'm just curious.
Because there was just as many black men being shot.
Exactly.
Then.
So I get told, don't ask that question, Lawrence. Don't do that. That's not right. You can't determine it. But I just want to know. Because when Muhammad Ali was doing it, he was on top of his game. He wasn't kneeling either.
Yep. Let's take a break. We'll be right back. I want to thank GoRx.org for their amazing sponsorship of Level Headed. Go now, download GoRx.org and save up to 95% on your prescription drugs. It's amazing. I use it myself whenever I have to go get a prescription filled for my parents or for myself or my children. Go now today. It works at CVS, Walgreens, any major drugstore. That's GoRx.org. That's GoRx.org. Save up to 95%. Aftermaster Studios has assembled one of the world's most renowned teams of sound engineers. Our technologies have resulted in some of the greatest musical productions in history. We are proud to bring our decades of sound mastering to your television. Our Aftermaster Pro improves the sound quality of your basic television, making it sound more like a movie theater. You never have to adjust your volume again. Purchase your Aftermaster Pro at aftermaster.com.
Dr. Scholl's meets LoJack and Fitbit, a wearable technology that can tell you where someone is, their activity, mobility, and even if they're at risk for falling. Imagine a technology so simple to use, it fits right into a pair of shoes. We even have a suite of products to help you track your kids, privately and right from your cell phone, tablet, or desktop. Originally created for those at risk of wandering due to Alzheimer's, dementia, and autism, but also works for your kids, baby boomers, elite athletes, and veterans. Our suite of GPS technologies are user-friendly, caregiver-friendly, and invisible to others. They collect and send location, movement, activity, mobility, balance, symmetry, and other metrics to our portal. A pioneer in personal monitoring, we're the world's first wearable tech company with over 85 patents and consumers in more than 35 countries. At GTX Corp, our patented suite of products help you track what you love.
Welcome back to Level Headed. Another segment with my man, LBJ. LB,
We gotta make this a thing.
I like it. I like it. I think we gotta do this. This is gonna be level-headed with the both of us. Because,
We gotta do that.
yeah, we really.
I think the world wants like authentic conversation. I think people are so used to, just people talking to each other and also being in this formal state of mind that people don't get the real.
They don't get the real.
They don't get the real. Just raw conversations.
And you can't because, it's hard for some folks because you get backlash at home, you get backlash at work. I don't know if you saw, but did you see that Google tape that just came out?
Oh yeah.
I mean, you talk about, we have a company as big as Google and their CEO and now all their top executives in a conference room pushing a liberal narrative. And basically, if you had been a conservative in that room, you couldn't work for Google.
Absolutely not.
I mean, I have never seen anything like, and that's just a reflection of the divide that we have. And you notice when they held the congressional hearings, who was the only major company not in the room? It's Google.
It's crazy because I believe that in response to this, conservative, libertarians, wherever you may be an independent and just not like the way things are going, it's the duty of us to create an alternative to that. And I'm nervous because although I don't like the way these social media giants and I don't like the way Google is doing because they have so much control, Amazon, all of them, I just don't believe the government should be regulating them in this way. Because I plan on being very, very, very rich one day. And I plan on taking out anybody that may be a competition to me. And I don't want the government then telling me, LBJ, I don't want you bringing that conservative message out there. Because any way I can, elevate a conservative worldview, I'm going to do it. And the problem is with the liberals, though, is that they only want their view. They don't want competition of thought. See, I'm willing to put what I think on the table and put what you think, and let's debate it. They want to shut down the debate, which I think is dangerous.
And they want to debate while attacking character and name calling, which is where it goes too far for me. Everything is not racist.
Right.
Everything is not sexist. Right. So, and I got this written down, the whole Me Too movement. Right. So I grew up in a house where my mama cooked and cleaned most of the time. I mean, she wanted to do that. She wanted to do that. She felt like she wanted to make sure my room was clean and everything else was clean. If I say that publicly here in New York City, shunned. I get shunned. Right? My mama loved my dad. Still does. Right? Like, I love women. Right? So when I'm home with Courtney, I love her. Right? So what's wrong with embracing? Now, I think, and unfortunately, some of the stuff that's going on with the Me Too movement is completely disgusting. The way these Harvey Weinsteins and these men that are using and abusing their powers, right? But you can't go and put a blanket to where you make women feel like they can't be women anymore.
I don't like that. I don't like I'm a man, first of all, and my mom raised me to be a gentleman.
That's right.
But one thing I don't understand is the lack of due process. The fact that you're guilty and then you got to prove your innocence. And the same group of people that talk about Emmett Till and talk about, hey, Emmett Till, which was true. And she later recanted her statement. And I know people will say that was a different time, but you still talk about that.
Right.
So why not allow this stuff to be settled in a court of law? Because there's some scumbags out there.
That's right.
There is. And I prefer for it to go through the legal process so they could be in jail, locked up, where, the other side, they see the other side of the justice system where other men in prison, even the criminals, don't respect them. So I get it. I never, as a person that used to work with sexual assault victims, and I hate those scumbags that target women on the innocence. When I was on the CPS board in Dallas County, I dealt with people that would mess with children. I hate it. But I also believe that there's a legal process to get those people.
Yeah. And I think we've abandoned that. And that's unfortunate in a lot of cases. Some cases are blatant and people need to be dealt with.
Yeah.
You know, you said it. For me, women are our prized possessions. Right? They are the ruler of the home. Yeah. They are the person that you love the most. I mean, who don't love their mama more than anything else. Yes. So your prized possession is your mama. Yeah. Right? So going beyond that, for me, when you look at the way that women now in their roles and where they're, and even I know a lot of strong conservative women now that are pushed into this corner where they can't be themselves anymore because it's not accepted by the masses. Right? And so when you have a case like Bill Cosby, right? That one hurt me. Yeah. That hurt me bad. Yeah. Now Bill was dead ass wrong for drugging the women. Yeah. Right? Dead ass wrong. Yeah. But some of them women that kept coming back over there, I'm just not okay with that. And I'm okay with saying it.
Not only that, I believe, and I don't want people to take this the wrong way, but I got some context about the whole Bill Cosby thing from my grandmother. And this is why I believe that it should be settled in a court of law. She told me, although she didn't participate, during that time, the drug, the Quaaludes was a sex performing drug at the time. And a lot of people participated in it to enhance it. And so I had never thought about it. I didn't grow up during that time. But it even, because he confessed to this. Like he willing to confess. I'm just like, well, that was stupid. Like you confessed it. And I also think it's wrong. I still think it's wrong. But I believe that if you are able to settle that though by the merits and you have the DNA and can prove it, then you can get a fair trial when it comes to that. I get the court of public opinion. But a lot of this stuff, man, it's not going down the right way. Yeah. It's not going down the right way, and I don't like it. And I would feel more comfortable if people allow the process to take its place with these scumbags.
Yeah, agreed, man.
If they are allegedly.
I totally agree. So moving on, and we're gonna wrap up here shortly, but there's a new wave going on in America, and some people have phrased it democratic socialism. And
it's socialism.
And I mean, you know, recently you heard Jim Carrey come out, talk, you know, he had me, you know, listening for a couple seconds about, you know, in regards to his experiences in Canada with, you know, universal health care and the likes. Give me your opinion on democratic socialism. And assuming that some of our audience may not necessarily have even heard that phrase before, break it down for us.
Well, I believe that, you know, and I work at Campus Reform as the editor-in-chief. I believe that the term started on college campuses. This is what the professors put ingrained in these kids' heads, and now the politicians are taking their cue from it. I believe it's pure socialism. I also believe that there has never been a clear example of white privilege than socialism, because the minorities are always the last to be cared for under this socialism regime. They say that, hey, this is for you, we're out there to help you, but you're always put last. And that's where the Democratic Party is going right now. And I always tell my community, you can't believe in black magic and then believe in this type of stuff. Because if Booker T could build schools from the ground up, if Madam C.J. Walker could come together during the time of slavery and build businesses in the hairline, if Black Wall Street could sustain itself
in the 20s,
then we can do it right now. And if you ever want to get out of this mess, it takes capitalism. This socialism is a direct threat to capitalism, and it's very anti-American. It's anti-American. I grew up in poverty, and I don't intend on going back that way. And so for the government to tell me after I worked my ass off that they want to redistribute my wealth, that I'm trying to willingly give back to my community, but they said that's not enough. We want to do it our way. I may not want to invest in some of their programs. I may not think some of their programs are effective. You know, so it's a fail.
I agree, and for me, and some folks may call me biased, but a lot of my perspective is driven behind what is going to benefit our most underserved population, and that just happens to be our poor black people in America. And so, for me, when I start hearing Democrats with this wide stroke brush, first talking about opening up the borders and giving so many resources to illegal immigrants, when you start talking about democratic socialism, or as you say, pure socialism, where you're giving all these free services to everybody else, the first thing, and I can't help this, and this is why I have so many disagreements with my democratic counterparts, is because I have no other choice but to believe that they are more concerned with the needs of illegal immigrants and of general immigrants coming from anywhere else over our former slave population, man.
They made it very clear with the border crisis. It's amazing to me how everyone was crying about the kids at the border. Meanwhile, they're getting 3 hot meals a day. They have a playground and all of that. And, we got kids that don't have their parents because their parents broke the law and they're behind bars, and there's no crying for that.
So selling drugs.
Nonviolent crime. You said it yourself. And so it has been it's been made very clear by the Democrats that black people aren't a priority. That's right. And so
even and I'll say this too, even our black president, I will say he falls right in line to that, especially his second term. Yeah. I think he failed our people in a lot of ways. Even though I voted for him twice.
Part of the reason why I left is because when I was a Democrat, when I was a young Democrat, I was part of the Young Democrats of America. Every time I would bring up issues facing our community, they would say, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. And I finally realized we never gonna get to this, are we? We never gonna get to this. We can pass comprehensive immigration. We can sign an executive amendment saying that DACA kids can stay here. But you can't do stuff for the community. That's why I really left the Democratic Party, because of inaction. And if the right don't do anything, I will leave them too.
I agree. We saw executive order after executive order from President Obama. Yet in his own backyard, and this is what I said, I can't judge a man by anything else than the standards that I would hold myself.
That's right.
And I know that in Dallas, Texas, if 30 or 40 black boys were being shot in the streets, or even in my backyard in Broward County, if 30 or 40 boys,
it'd be a problem.
And I'm the president, I'm going to land Air Force One.
Right there.
There. I'm going to rent a hotel.
That's right.
I'm calling all sides, whoever your gang members, right? Either y'all come meet me, I'm going to smoke y'all out with the National Guard.
I'm telling you.
And I think he failed our people in that. Not just our people, but his people.
Yeah, he failed his community.
His community. And I think, for me, that was really telling to him, and I've said it all along, over the 8 years, he slowly started showing me that he really is he can't be a real black man.
It's the system
that wants to help poor black people.
He's no different than any other politician. See, I don't like Trump just because of the fun of it. The part of the Trump that I admire about him, even though I disagree with his tweeting and all that craziness sometimes, is that when he want to do something, he say, go get it done. And he's not concerned about the government bureaucracy. President Obama was concerned about the process.
Yes.
Trump is not concerned about the president. Does he jump the gun sometimes? Yes, he does. But he tries to run this government as a business, and he's the president of the United States. And he says, look, I want this done. Go get it done. Whereas when President Obama, when he wanted to get something done, Mr. President, the process. Nah.
Agreed.
Get it done.
Get it done. And I will admit that I probably held Barack Obama to a much higher standard than I do Donald Trump.
We all did.
Because he's a black man, I'm a black man, and I'm sorry. That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
I expected a little bit more. Yeah. I've said this before. People say, well, Donald Trump's a racist. Well, my daddy taught me this a long time ago, and this may offend some of y'all, and if it does, I'm sorry. But the way I look whether or not a man is racist is whether or not he let his daughter date a black man. And I'm sorry. I don't think Bill Clinton and Hillary would have let their daughter. I don't think the Bushes would have let their daughter, and going back on and on and on and on. And so they're all in the same bucket to me. I respect them as my president. I respect them for running the country. But I'm not going to sit here because Donald Trump speaks his mind and he may be brash and maybe not as well spoken. I'm not going to sit here and judge him any other way than I judge him.
And quite frankly, I don't think the president is racist. And,
I don't either.
And this is why. The president, he's an equal opportunity slayer.
He slays them
He
all.
he don't care if you're white, he don't care if you're old, he don't care if you served in the military, he don't care.
Yeah.
He don't care.
He doesn't care.
He sees opponent and he attacks.
You see how he did Jamie Dominic Day. Slayed him.
Yes, he sees friends and he sings your praises.
That's right.
You say something nice about him, he says something nice about you. So that's how he governs it. You can agree or disagree, but you can't dispute him being an equal opportunity slayer.
That's right.
That's what he
I
is.
love it. I love it. With that, man, this is a wrap. This has been an awesome show. You got any final thoughts, LBJ?
No, just follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Lawrence B. Jones 3, and you'll be seeing some new content. And maybe we'll do this some other time too.
We should do it more often because this has been fun. Until next time, we out of here.
Since 2002, GTX Corp's wearable GPS technology has helped American families track what they love. With the new GPS Smart Soul and Invisibelt for kids, you can conveniently monitor your children's whereabouts real time from your smartphone using our app. Cell phones are easily lost or stolen, so we've designed our patented GPS technologies to be comfortably hidden inside your shoes or underneath your clothes. So bring your family peace of mind. Track what you love with GTX Corp. Wouldn't it be great if there was an all-purpose medicine to help handle almost all your household medical needs? Now, with VitaStem, there is. VitaStem is a new, FDA-registered, topical antibiotic that treats 10 times faster and more in depth. From razor burn, to acne, to cuts and scrapes, and even to mosquito bites. VitaStem is your all-in-one solution to many needs. Don't suffer. Heal with VitaStem. Learn more at vitastem.net.